Hey guys, it's SJ. Thanks for swinging by my YouTube channel. I hope you're well. My name is SJ. If you're brand new here, I'm a mum of 3, and today's video is about, is lockdown ruining our relationships? We're all in lockdown under very different circumstances than anyone's ever been through before. And we all started with this very hopeful, this will be the time that we all remember how wonderful family was and how brilliant it all was. This will also be the time when there's more conflict than ever, when we make more and more mistakes than ever, and when we can also feel pushed apart more than ever. So don't feel bad if you're feeling that way. This video is about gentle parenting, because that's what I do here on my channel. But these tips, I was just thinking, they're not just for parent and child, they're for really repairing a relationship with anybody in your family, in close proximity, how to deal with this right now, and hopefully the next few days, today, tomorrow, the next week, couple of weeks, to feel so much better, so much more bonded, and repair any issues that you've been having over the last few weeks in lockdown. If you like this video, I'd love it if you hit subscribe for more gentle parenting. I'd also love it if you tell me your stories below, because this is a very honest video because of how I've been feeling and the mistakes I've made under really intense pressure. So I don't blame myself, but I can see the drift and I need to stop that drift, because I don't want to come out of lockdown running in opposite directions and going, thank God, which some days you feel like you want to. So there's some really easy tips and techniques of how to do it. So first of all, it's about, number 1, acknowledging the rift, acknowledging it, even with really young children, and especially if you've had an argument, confrontation, apologising. And there's some really easy ways to apologise, important things to know though. So with a child, you can use the phrase big feelings, and often when we're apologising, we like to bring the other person into it and say, like, when you and I did this, you did this and I did this, and that's why I'm now saying sorry, and probably you need to say something to mummy as well, and then should we instantly immediately hug and we've all forgotten it. That's one way of apologising. But I love this way I read about, which is about really just teaching children how to apologise as well. This is a real great lesson for them. Luckily, we can be learning. It's just learning time. I made that mistake on purpose. So basically, I was having a really big feeling earlier when I really shouted at you, and I just walked away when you were upset and asking me to help you. And then it's easy to go, like, I didn't like your tone, or I didn't like how you did it, or you hadn't been very kind, and putting them into it. But to really resist the urge to bring them and their behaviour into it, just acknowledge, I was having a big feeling, I did this behaviour, I noticed that you also were having a big feeling too. That must have made you feel worried, scared, rejected, angry. Don't be afraid of using better words. It's important for children to understand the range of emotions and then leave it. So you're apologising, you're not putting pressure on them, you're not inviting them to say, now also you need to say sorry or to forgive you right away. And that's a really good way of teaching children how to acknowledge their mistakes, and put your hands up and say something about them, and to get them used to the language of big feelings and stuff like that. And similarly, if you want to say to them, I've noticed that lately we've been drifting, and that's made me feel really sad, and I'm going to try and think of some ways I can repair that and do some things nicer. Again, not bringing them into it or putting this as a two-way thing. I've noticed this is how it's made me feel, and I want to repair it. So acknowledging things is really important, and that's how you treat them, not like kind of constantly shifting them under the rug and then having this explosion. That's where the sort of drift comes from, because all the little things we kind of get over end up in a big blowout, and that's with children and partners and everyone as well. So when you're doing this, don't expect too much, don't expect this instant thing. No, I really think that when I had this thing, it was years ago, maybe 3 years, no, maybe 5 years ago, and I started to really practice overtly this positive parenting, gentle discipline, when I started to really look at myself and think, oh my God, when I'm talking, I'm using blame, I'm using shame, I'm comparing, you always, you never, typical, I don't want to do this, you've just ruined this, things that are coming out all the time, little pepperings, because we're reacting, and I'm not alone in speaking like that to kids. I don't want to see you right now, you need to think about what you've done, and you don't get a say. We're very controlling, and it's because we think we're in control as parents that it's so difficult for us to have these conflicts, and understanding that you're not in control and giving up control is going to be the biggest, hardest thing to do, and that I've had to think about, especially now in these close confinement, is I'm not always in control. So don't expect too much, don't put pressure on. Open the door. I love this feeling of, you know, put yourself in little shoes and leave the door open for them to come to you, but do it really purposefully. So sitting next to them in silence. How often do we do that? They're not talking to us. Often we just go, okay, well, I'll go and do my own thing. Sitting next to them in silence, waiting for them to talk. When they do talk, listening to them, to their world, to 1,000 facts about Pokemon, whatever it is. Sitting and doing that will be best use of your time. You know, baking a cake and saying, you know, I've made you a cake, what should I do to improve it next time? Not let's bake a cake together. You know, it's not Joey and Janice's day of fun, where she tries so hard, she tries to put everything into this relationship, and I was laughing about it, like, that is so my go-to. Let's bake a cake, let's do this, that'd be fun. Then we get disappointed because they don't want to do it, and then we're like, oh, I didn't want to make this cake. Just do something nice, make a cake, give them a cake. That's kind, that's modeling good behaviour. How can I improve it next time? Do you want to help me decorate the next one? That's inviting the relationship, not forcing it. No one wants to do what they're forced to do. Picking up a book that they're reading, you know, oh, you're reading about Romans at school, I was going to read this about Romans. Or you're reading Wimpy Kid, let me have a read, that looks really funny. Laughing out loud, what are you laughing at? So just inviting, laying the foundations for them to come to you is a really nice way of not being too confrontational when you're trying to regrow the relationship. Sometimes we say to kids all the time, if you've got nothing nice to say nothing at all, and we don't practice that ourselves. And I notice when I've been pushed to the edge, I lecture, I go on and on, there's so much I want to say, so much I need to say. Just listen to that before it comes out, and it will surprise you, it will probably shock you. Like, I'm a really gentle parent naturally, and I still get through these things that I hear myself about to say, and I'm like, God, you know, why does the child need to hear that? You know, the way we talk to our children is proven to be the way that their inner voice talks to themselves when they're older. I'm useless, I'm the unpractical one, I'm the unhelpful one. That's going to be something that they'll play out forever. So just try to keep it in as much as possible, and if you can't say anything nice, say nothing at all. And then really focus on the positive. A great one, if you're really trying to rebuild a relationship, is let them overhear you saying something great about them. So you could be on the phone to your mum and you're like, oh, let me tell you this really cute thing that Freddie did the other day. Let them just overhear it, because they need to hear your pride in them, without you trying to sit them down face to face, let me tell you. You know, when you're trying to repair something, you need to go very gently, and you need to lay the door open and let them hear and let them start to feel warm. And then that will last you longer in your relationship if you've really changed, if you really made the change in how you are, and you keep that going, and they've come to you. Then in their teens, you want them to pick up the phone when they're having a tough time. You know, as adults, you want to be spending time together because you want to, because you've got a good, honest, open relationship. You can apologise, you can put your hand up when you've made mistakes, you can be useful and helpful and kind to each other, and that's the kind of parent you've always been from now on. And then don't look for perfection, just look for good. So it's really tempting to go like, oh, well, we want things to be so perfect, we want great days, not just good days. You don't want nice days, you want perfect days. We want Instagram days, you know. I'm terrible for that. I'm all over Instagram, having my Instagram days with the kids, and that's what we aspire to. But don't push ourselves to that, you know. Just look for the little good, you know, look for the extra long cuddle at bedtime, look for the like little laughs around dinner time at the dinner table, you know, celebrate when you've had a big row but you're able to both sort of get over it quicker. So always look for the little goods, and don't try to make this a sprint, because it is a marathon. It's a relationship, a lifelong relationship. That's insane. And one of the most important relationships, well, it is the most important relationship they're ever going to have their whole life. So take the effort, take the time, and if you're watching this, you've already done something massive. It shows that you really already are thinking about it. So I hope it's been interesting, even just to have the conversation, know that you're not alone if you're feeling like this lockdown has pushed you to your limits. And is it going to get worse, or is it going to get better? Can we reverse the tide of this, you know? And I really think that we can. So I'd love to hear your ideas in the comment section below. Forgive my look at I've stuck some of these false lashes on and they're so itchy. Good, take these off immediately. I would love you to hit subscribe if you like more gentle parenting, positive discipline videos. If you've got any specific issues, I'll try to answer them. Like, I am not qualified in this, but it's just something I've practiced since I've noticed this drift. You know, I used to be very different. You know, I just was always reacting, and I was like, I didn't want to be that type of mum. I wanted to really drain the swamp, not fight the alligators, as the business expression goes. And it took time to kind of really change my habits, and this lockdown has brought a lot back. So it's just kind of going, okay, reset. So I always try and help and be here and to share the stuff that I've loved learning about. Lots of love, guys. Bye bye.